Hopping up a Honda? You bet. We'll show you how right now on today's show.
Today on Horsepower TV. Sport compacts are hot now, so we're going to build up a hot rod Honda, including header, high-performance exhaust, and new set of power pulleys, plus an ignition upgrade and even a special nitrous kit. Then it's on to the chassis dyno, where we'll see how much power we plan on those front wheels. Also, a quick tip on how to pick the right rocker from mild to wild. So hang on for Horsepower TV.
Welcome to the Horsepower Shop. If you're like us, chances are you cut your teeth and busted your knuckles on cars with names like Camaro, Cuda, and Mustang. You know, good old American iron.
Yeah, well, there's a whole new generation of performance enthusiasts who are wrenching and racing cars with names like Integra, RX-7, and Accord. And while the names might sound a little strange, well, the techniques for making these pocket rockets run are surprisingly similar. Now, this 93 Prelude's got all the latest tricks, and under the hood, well, it's only got a 2.3-liter dual overhead cam 4-cylinder, but the owners added headers, a hot ignition, and even nitrous.
Well, today we're going to show you how to add some basic bolt-ons to one of the more popular platforms, a 96 Acura Integra. Now, this thing's got a 1.8-liter dual overhead cam 4-banger that cranked out 111 horsepower at the drive wheels. Not impressed? Well, keep this in mind. Most sport compacts weigh considerably less than those American muscle cars that we were talking about.
So, while the horsepower figures may not be impressive, the time slips at the track can be. Plus, we've got a passel of parts for that machine that'll hike the horsepower and even lower the ETs, starting with a free-flowing exhaust. Now, the headers we're using came from New Speed, and they come with all the hardware and extension pipe you need to hook them up. Plus, they've got this cool jet-hot coating for good looks and long life.
Our catback system comes from Greddy Performance, and the oversized aluminized tubing is mandrel bent for maximum flow. The muffler itself has a polished stainless steel case, and it's finished off with this cool tip. Now, once everything's installed, it's going to give our Acura a nice throaty sound, but even more importantly, it's 50-state smog legal and meets current noise regulations.
Well, I say we make some noise and get that old exhaust off.
All right, I'm loose on my end.
There, me too.
Good deal. Now, while the exhaust is out, we're going to replace the shifter with this Hurst quick stick. Now, it's going to give us shorter throws and no more missed shifts. I'm going to start by removing this bolt that attaches the shifter to the shift rod. And the shifter drops right out after taking the knob off from inside. Remove the two retaining bolts and then the shifter from the retaining ring. To install the new shifter, you just reverse the procedure and replace the stock stabilizer bushing with this urethane piece. Of course, the final step is to replace this front stabilizer bushing.
Now, the old manifold comes right out from the top here. There we go. But before we bolt up our new header, let's take another look at it. It's what's known as a 4-2-1 design, which joins the primaries of alternately firing cylinders. Then downstream, the secondaries are joined here at the collector. Now, this improves exhaust scavenging and increases your bottom end torque. Now, we're going to make sure everything's sealed up with one of these copper seals from Mr. Gasket.
Power pulleys are always worth a few horses on any street machine, so we're going to add a set. Now, we're going to go ahead and remove the alternator first while we have easy access to it. Of course, once it's off, you just remove the old nut and the old pulley and replace it with this cool red anodized one from AEM. It goes on there just like that. Now, they've also saved you some headaches by including the right size belts in the kit, and we'll go ahead and install them later on.
Okay, you got that alternator back up there?
It's ready.
Okay, now we can bolt up our new collector pipe, and as you'll notice, we've reinstalled the stock O2 sensor. Oh, and when you do this, make sure to use the old gasket and some anti-seize on the threads. We're also using the original catalytic converter. Now, we don't want to snug it too much to this intermediate pipe because we'll make some adjustments later. Now we can hook up its O2 sensor.
Bolting up the header and the exhaust only took us a little over an hour. Now the muffler is the final link in the installation, and thanks to its design you can use all the stock hangers.
Well, you hang with us. We'll take a short break and be back with more of our Sport Compact buildup. And later in the show, we'll head to a local strip where sport compacts are the hottest new thing in racing.
I like being the underdog. I like smoking Mustangs and Camaros in a 4-cylinder car.
We'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back to the shop and our Honda hop-up. So far we've added a header, exhaust, and shifter. Now it's time for one of the best bolt-ons for adding horsepower to your sport compact. It's a cold air inlet that's good for up to 18 horsepower thanks to an improved airflow, and this K&N filter that reduces just about all the inlet restrictions. Now before we install it though, we're going to drill a little hole right here for that nitrous nozzle.
Hey, while you're over there talking about horses, I've been working like one. In fact, I got the stock air inlet off, and while you're working on that new one, I think I'll pop on one of these other pulleys. Now, the threads on the power steering pump of this Acura are left-handed, so for the time being, we can forget all that stuff we learned about righty-tighty.
Whether you're running American iron or an import, man, nothing beats nitrous when it comes to instant horsepower. Now, you might remember this Zex kit from a couple of weeks ago when we introduced it on Hot Parts. Well, today we're going to put it to work. It's tunable with 3 power levels, 55, 65, and 75 horsepower, and it relies on this control box here to maintain proper fuel to nitrous ratios. Hey man, look what I brought you. You spraying or you playing back here?
I hope to be spraying soon.
All right, I'll tell you what, while you get going, I'm going to start mounting that control box up front.
Good deal. Now, the best place to mount this thing is out back here so we can get to it easily to open the valve or remove it for refills. Now, we're going to send the feed line under the carpet of this Acura, of course avoiding any sharp edges along the way that might chafe it. Now, we'll send it in through the firewall using a factory grommet.
The line from the control box to the nitrous nozzle is only 2 feet long, and space is a little bit limited under the hood here, but we found a spot for the box right here on the fender well. Now, we had to fab up a couple of mounts using L brackets that we got at the local hardware store, and we just screwed them to the frame rail.
Well, now we can mount our inlet tube, which we'll have to snake down between the engine and the lower frame rail. It clamps right here to the throttle body. Now we can connect the nitrous line, and we're going to jet it for the full 75 horsepower. Next, the filter goes in from down under here. Of course, our nitrous needs an arming switch, so I'm going to find us a good location in here to mount it.
Now, adding that nitrous is going to create a lot of cylinder pressure, so we're going to need a good hot spark to fire it all off. MSD has come up with this new ignition just for sport compacts. And since room is so tight under here, well, we're going to have to sacrifice our cruise control to mount the box right in here. We just fabbed up an aluminum plate and then attached it right here to the strut tower. Now we can go ahead and mount the box where it'll get plenty of air circulation so it can operate properly.
This Blaster SS coil is going to give us even more firepower, and unlike the Honda stock coil, it mounts externally, so again, we fabbed up some brackets so we could mount it here on the end of the head. To complete our ignition upgrade, we'll also use their cap and wires, along with these Axle plugs.
Of course, planning all that power with the front driver presents a whole new set of problems like strut tower flex. But we're going to go ahead and fix that problem and put the power to the pavement with this Moroso strut tower brace. Now, it's machined from lightweight billet aluminum, and it comes in a number of colors.
Color's definitely what's happening under the hood, and to add some extra touches, we got these cool covers from Hot Rod Custom Automotive in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Everything from the master cylinder to the oil filler.
It really does look good under here, but this puts the wraps on all our Acura upgrades What do you say we put the drive wheels on the dyno jet and see what all our hard work is worth?
We'll do our first run without nitrous. Throttle response is crisper, revved up quicker. How are the numbers?
Well, you can trust the seat of your pants. We've got 127 horses now. That's 16 more than our baseline. What do you say we put the spray to it?
Well, a flick of the switch does it. Now, the control box we mounted is wired directly to the throttle position sensor, so when we mat the throttle, we're on the bottle.
All right, 169 horsepower. Now, isn't that about what your Firebird did? And this is a lot lighter car.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. You know, we might just have us a pocket rocket on our hands here after all.
You bet. Now, the parts cost about $2,500, and you can plan on spending the better part of a day out in the driveway.
Well, hang on. We're going to see how some of these hot sport compacts act at the track right after this. Hi, welcome back to Horsepower TV and to Music City Raceway. Well, we got a taste of what it's like to work on one of these sport compacts. Now, what do you say we see how these four-bangers behave out on the strip? At tracks around the country, Sport Compact Night attracts a new breed of drag racers. They're mostly younger, most drive imports of course, with Civics leading the pack. And while many are new to drag racing, they're all busy bolting on aftermarket power parts from turbochargers up front to 3-inch exhaust out back. Some may need help analyzing their time slips.
The reaction's one thing, the launch is something else. You have a much better watch here.
But each seems to share an infectious American-style spirit of competition.
I like being the underdog. I like smoking Mustangs and Camaros in a 4-cylinder car.
Wow, 9-second ET. Oh, did I mention this is an 8th-mile track? Okay, while most don't have the power and performance of the Camaros out here, or the Mustangs, they are sneaking up on it, and some are turning their compacts into lightweight land rockets.
There's a lot of power hidden in these little motors, you know, you just got to, that's the game, is just, you know, pulling it all out of there, using your head and seeing what works, what doesn't.
A bigger turbo, exhaust, and front-mounted intercooler works for Brandon Wise. He's getting 350 horsepower from his Eagle Talon and running in the low 8s out here.
I've completely bolt-on horsepower that we've added to it, so, I mean, the sky's the limit, I guess, really, to what you want to do, how much money you want to spend.
This 94 Super Sport's a dual turbocharged inline 6 that propels it into the low 8-mile 8s as well.
With the same bottom end and without changing the internals, I'm about at the maximum, which I got about 405 rear wheel horsepower to it.
With no hose-barred budgets, Hondas have recently made over 600 horsepower while recording 9-second quarter-mile runs. Hey, wouldn't you like to be that first guy to break the 8?
Oh man, I would love it. I would love it. Who wouldn't, you know? I would love it. It'd be great.
I would love to go on the 8 someday. Hell, why not 7s?
Hey, what about it, you fellow Ford, Chevy, and Mopar guys? Are you impressed yet?
No, it's just not me. I don't like them. Parts cost too much.
You know the old saying, there's no replacement for displacement. So I'm gonna stick with my American-made product.
Well, they don't go very fast, but they look good. You know, I mean, I think everybody ought to have a chance to come out here and run, that's for sure.
Well, one thing's for sure, sport compact racing's here to stay. And while the popularity goes up while the ETs go down, well, maybe there's room for everybody. Staging lanes of America's drag strips in the new millennium ahead.
Hopefully maybe the Ford, Dodge, and Chevy guys will unite, and all the import guys will unite, and we can just battle each other into the future this way.
Rockers, they play a pivotal role in your car's performance. We'll help you find the right rocker for your engine right after this.
Welcome back. Now, my partner on occasion has accused me of being off my rocker, and well, he may be right. But if the rockers on your engine are off, well, that can cost you some horsepower.
Hey, you're right on both counts. Now, most production engines use inexpensive stamped steel rockers, like on our display engine here. Now, small block Chevy's rocker ratio is supposed to be 1.5, but mass production can lead to looser tolerances.
Now, I've checked stock rocker arm ratios and I've seen them as low as 1.42. Now, that means that a cam with 300 thousandths lift at the lobe and a 1.5 rocker is going to give us 450 thousandths lift at the valve seat. A rocker with 1.42 ratio, though, is only going to give us 426 thousandths.
What Professor Power is really saying is you're losing 24 thousandths lift at the valve seat, your engine can't breathe like it should, and you're not going to reach your horsepower potential.
Well, isn't that what I said? Now, dyno tests have shown that optimizing your rocker arm ratios can yield 12 to 15 more horsepower. So we ordered an assortment of rocker arms from Comp Cams to help you get your valve train back on track. An inexpensive upgrade is their Magnum roller tip rocker. Now, it's a precise investment casting to help maintain a true 1:5 ratio, and it's got a roller tip to help reduce friction. Now, this is a good rocker for street and bracket racing applications.
Of course, the full roller rocker reduces friction even more while also giving you a precise rocker arm ratio. That's because both the tip and trunnion are rollarized, plus the body is more rigid to resist deflection when you're using stiff valve springs. Now, they cost more, but they're great for serious street and all-out racing use.
Full roller stainless steel rockers are next, and the main benefit here is reduced weight without sacrificing strength or accuracy. Of course, increasing your rocker arm ratio can also increase your horsepower. For instance, 450 thousandths valve lift with a 1.5 rocker jumps all the way to 480 with a simple swap to a 1.6 rocker arm.
Plus, you can even mix and match ratios to compensate for things like inefficient port design or to get more out of your cam without swapping it out.
Plus, you can even use a rocker like this 1.3 to help break in a new camshaft. Now, to sum it all up, rocker arms are an essential component when it comes to realizing the full power and performance potential of any internal combustion engine.
Well put, Professor, but you know what? You're still off your rocker. Hey, stay tuned. We got some hot parts for you next.
Now, Horsepower's Hot Parts, brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment, your source for high-performance parts for 30 years.
We've got some hot parts for hot imports today, starting with this command flow fuel regulator from B&M. Now, it's a billet aluminum replacement for the stock regulator that's adjustable from 25 to 60 psi. Now you can fatten up your fuel flow and pick up a few extra horses for your Honda, Acura, or Mitsubishi for under 60 bucks.
Here's another billet bolt-on that can pump up the power in your sport compact. It's a set of adjustable sprockets from AEM that allows you to advance or retard your cam timing up to 10 degrees. This laser etch scale here makes those adjustments easy. And these things are available for most popular sport compacts at about $160 a piece.
Increasing traction is always a sticky subject, even for imports. Now, Mickey Thompson's solution is their ET drag tire in a special size just for sport compacts. With wrinkle wall construction and a special sticky rubber compound, well, now you can take your import out to launch for about $280 for the pair.
And we mounted ours on some 15x7 centerline Grand Nationals with front drive offset. They go for about $140 each. You know, tweaking on that mini muscle car was kind of fun, but are you ready for some all-American iron? Catch our show next week. The Ford Flathead, one of history's most monumental motors. They're hot again, and we'll build one with some nifty nostalgic pieces and some high-tech bolt-ons like a supercharger. Then we'll test our build-up's benefits on a state-of-the-art dyno. And a hot rod face-off featuring a 5-window coupe from the last millennium versus a modern rod from the new one. And remember, high-performance fun is what this show is all about. Yeah, I got a confession to make. I wouldn't tell our buddies.
Horsepower TV is an RTM production.